So for today's project, we're going to mimic these shelves to this other side and try to get a little more organized. Because as you can see, we can use more space because we got stuff piled up everywhere. So our first step on this is to clear out that area over here. So we're gonna take that bike down and all that stuff. And then once I got that cleared out, we'll start laying out where the shelves are gonna go and how we're gonna build them. All right, so we got this cleaned up. Everything's shoved off to the side for now until we get a little bit better organized. Um, so we're gonna mimic what we did over here. We're gonna use 2x4s on the front and back and returns, and then a 2x4 support, and then we'll screw it into the studs in the wall. And so over here on this side, I measured up 96 inches, which is the top of our stud, which is right here. If you can see it, I measured down 4 inches. And then after measuring some totes and coolers and stuff that we had, I'm gonna go 18 inches between the shelves. So I measured down 18 inches and then another 4 inches, 3.5 inch stud plus 7/16 OSB. And I did it one more time over here. So we're gonna have 3 shelves. I could fit another one on, but I like having the space underneath, like to put the snow blower and other bigger stuff and kind of store it back here for when we're in season. So that is the plan. First thing I need to do is rip down the OSB. That way I can kind of get that done. It's kind of dark out here, so I want to get that stuff complete. That way I can just work here in the garage. So I'm going to get that ready and we'll rip that down. All right, so we're going to go ahead and rip down our sheets of plywood. We have 7/16 OSB that we're going to rip down to be two 24-inch pieces. If you go to Lowe's or Home Depot or Menards or Lumberyard or wherever you're getting it, a lot of times they'll rip it down for you if you just have a sheet or two to do. I didn't do that this time. There wasn't really anyone back there, so I figured I'll rip them down here. And so to do this, we're gonna make a mark at 24 inches. We'll go to the other side and do the same. Mark it at 24. And then we're gonna run a chalk line. So if you haven't used the chalk line, it looks something like this. It's chalk line, you put the chalk in the top here, and it's just basically a string in there that gets chalk on it, and then it marks your line. So what you do is on your mark, you put the one end, just pull down to the other side, pull it tight, and then try to pull straight up on it and let it flop down. So now you have a line going front to back. You can kind of see it on there where the chalk at the front here. But if you get close, you can see the whole thing. All right, so now we're going to cut that line. In order to see it a little bit better, I did go and get a little headlamp that you'll see. Just make sure you adjust your saw so you're only cutting through that board, and you don't need it sticking down, multiple inches past the stuff you're cutting. Just safety first. So take your time. Always do it right first time. All right, now that we got that ripped down, we're gonna go ahead and get set up to start cutting some of the lumber, some of the 2x4s in order to make the actual shelf. All right, so we're gonna build the 2x4 frames like these are over there. There's 2 different ways to do it. You can run the long one long, or you can butt it up into one of these. I'm going to do it just like this because I find it a little bit easier than to put up and stuff, but it's 6 of 1. It really doesn't matter. So to do that, we know that our shelves are 96 inches long. 2x4 is 1.5 inches wide, 1 on each side, so we need to cut it down to 93 inches. So here, as you can see, I got 93. I always put a little tick mark on the one side so I know which side to cut on. All right. And then we're just gonna line up our saw. 93 mark. And we're going to cut, so we got 3 shelves, so I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them at that length, and then I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 2x4s at 24 inches long. So we're going to get those cut, and then we'll start assembling. All right, so we got all our pieces cut. So I laid out a piece of the plywood on a couple sawhorses just as a quick work table. We got 2 9-foot or 93-inch pieces, and then 2 of the 24-inch pieces. And so now we're just going to fasten together all the 2x4s. Now to do that, first I want to pre-drill these 2x4s. You don't have to, but you know, to decrease the odds of it splitting, if you have drier wood or light wood, it's always good to pre-drill. And to do that, like, hold your drill bit up to the screws that you're using, and just make sure that you're within the thick part of it. You don't want to be bigger than the screw, because then these threads won't grab. And so I always kind of compare them like this and make sure that I can see just a little bit of the core of the screw, and that's how I determine. So in this case, I have 1/8 inch drill bit, and we're basically just going to drill 2 holes on each end that we're going to use for the screw holes. All right, so with that, we're going to switch our bit. You know, when you go to the store to buy your screws, I got 2.5 inch. That way, we're 1.5 inches through here, then 1 inch into the wood. I do like these ones with the star head on it. I find them to be easier to use, and the less chance of stripping. But I usually do use these longer bits. It does come with one. But they're always kind of the smaller ones, and yes, you can use an extension and stuff, but I got this DeWalt set a while ago, and I find it's the easiest thing. So I'm just going to lay out some screws for this end, and we'll have some screws for the other end. Make sure I don't lose my drill bit. Put these off to the side. And now we can start assembling. So I'm going to start the screws first. That way they're a little easier and ready to go for us. Same thing on the other side here. All right, so now we're just going to line them up. So flush your end and your top together, because when you put it down there, if there's any type of wiggle, you're going to want to take that out. So I'm going to scooch this down a little bit, because at the end of this piece of plywood is where it's kind of going down. So now if I hold those, I got to pick it up just a little bit. And then we're just going to screw this home. And after it's in there, you can square it up, make sure everything's right, and then pop in this other one. So we're going to do that to the other 3 corners, and then we'll end up with our frame. We're not going to put the USB on yet. We're going to hang it first on the wall, and then we'll do that. All right, so we got one completed frame here. I'm not too worried about squaring it up at this point. We'll do that when we get it up there. We don't really have to, because it's going to be squared up with the corner, which will actually be slightly out of square because there's no 90-degree corners with drywall and mud and everything else. But that's all right. If it's a little off, it's not gonna hurt anything. So with that one done, I'm going to build the other 2 so that we'll have their 3 total, and then we'll start marking our wall and getting these things put up. All right, so I have all 3 of those built, so now we just got to put it on the wall. First thing we want to do is find the studs, and then where our actual bottom of the piece is. So I measured the bottom 92 inches up, so right, 96 inches -4. And so we're gonna be right here on this side. And you can kind of see the marks on this side as well, right up there. So once we get one in though, we will level it to make sure that we're good. But we do have to find our studs. So typically in a garage, your studs are going to be next to your outlets, at least one of them, and then you can go off of that, because they're not going to put a special stud in or blocking anything for your outlets. So based on just knocking on it, I came to the conclusion that the stud's on this side. So I measured 16 inches over and marked a little line, and we're going to check to see if that's right. So if I go from that outlet over to here, we're right in this area. So using a small drill bit, if you drill a hole, you'll know immediately if you're hitting a stud or not. So I hit the edge because I felt it move over. So if that's the edge, if I need the center, then I need to come 3/4 of an inch over, which is right here. And I definitely hit a stud on that one. So when I didn't, you could see it just, you know, you just pop in. But when you hit the stud, you hit something solid. So from there, I can come over another 16 inches from that little pilot hole, which is right here. And I definitely hit a stud there, right? Because if I go over here, I just fall right in. All right, so with that, now that I drew several holes, what I'm gonna do is just kind of circle the one that is good, right? And I can go 16 from there, so on and so forth. All right, so now that we have our holes, in order to know where the rest of them are, right, as we put them on, we're gonna use a level. I'm gonna basically kind of put my pencil in there, and then we're gonna level this out. And then once we're level, now I have my stud line. So that line is where my studs are. So when I put them up there, I can see them. So I'm going to mark those out for my my length of shelf, and then we'll be able to start putting them up. All right. So now that we got everything marked out, we're ready to put them up. So what I'm going to do is put a temporary block here. I say temporary, but I might leave it here. I don't know yet. But I'm lining it up with where the bottom of that shelf is, and on the stud. So that gives us something to put the block on when we go to put it up there. So I'm going to put one on the other corner there, and that'll hold it in place while we lift it up. All right, so we're ready to put that piece up. I do have a 2x4 over there as well to kind of hold up that side temporarily as we get it up there. Again, I'm kind of putting this up by myself, so it's going to be kind of a pain in the butt. But to fasten them in, I am going to use these 3-inch screws. I love these Simpson screws. I have a hard time finding them at times, but they're good. They're thick. I don't know. I really enjoy these. So if you see them out there, recommend spending a couple extra bucks on good screws. All right. So that all said, we have my tools ready, and let's see about lifting this thing up into place. So that's in place. So I'm going to take my vertical one here, and I'm going to put a screw in here because that holds this corner, and then I don't have to mess with it anymore. Then it'll be kind of self-supporting while we get everything else figured out. So I'm flushing the in retrospect, should have had the screw started already. So just do that now. Alright, now that that's started, again, just being prepared helps a lot. So I clearly was not. Alright, so I got the tops flushed. Alright, so we got one in. I was hanging by a thread here, but I'm going to kind of hold it. As we get want to get this side just supported a little bit like that, and then I'm going to grab another level to level the top there. Once we get a screw into the wall, we're in a lot better shape. So, screws, screw gun. Now, first let's level this. It's actually not bad. Alright, so putting that across. Let's start a screw here. And before we do that, though, let's make sure we're all the way against the wall. You don't want to shift and then have an issue there. All right, so now looking at the level. I'm good there. Alright, get the block off. Alright, so now, grab that off of there. We're going to come to this side. My level prepared up here. And we're going to use our 4-foot. That on, and see, this side just needs to come up a little bit. Before we do that, we are out a little bit. So let's so we need to go up, so if I use my temporary piece, I can use that as some leverage. Get it up. Go up some more. That's good there. So now, let's screw in. Alright, so now we're good. So what I'm going to go back and do is put 2 screws at each stud spot so that we're fully secure. So, yeah, we'll go through across there, and then we'll put the ones in on the side over here, and then we'll be ready to put the plywood up on top. Alright, so that's all up, all fastened and good to go. So now we're going to work on that middle shelf and the lower shelf. We're going to do it the same way. We're going to put those blocks up. It'll be a lot easier since we're not working over our head anymore. So I'm going to get those blocks in, and then we'll get this one installed. All right, so same deal. I got the blocks up. And this time I used the ladder just to let it sit on because I'm not going to need to stand on it. And so let's grab our piece here. All right. So same deal as last time, right? Let's level it based on the block. And this time it'll be a little easier coming in from this side. We are right there. You want 2x4 to be flush there. Just threw it off a little bit. And we're right there. And again, I should have got that screw started first, but I didn't, so we'll make it work. All right. All right, so we're still looking at it, making sure we're flush all the way to that side. And we're going to put one in on this stud here, and then we'll get our level on it and we'll run across. So take our block off and grab our 4-foot level. Alright, so we're going to have to come up just a little bit. I'm going to get a screw started. Here, I'm actually going to go with this one here. Alright. Right there. Alright, so now we can get the back row screws on, and then we'll level that side and get that that screw on. We actually could do it right now. Why don't I go do that since we got the video going so there's not a lapse. So using our level, we'll come to this side. Once we get it where we want it. There. Perfect. So we'll go ahead and put the rest of those screws in and keep moving forward.
Alright, so that middle one's all up, so now we start our last one here, which is going to be a little easier, I think, since it's at easy level. So, let's grab our piece, we already got our blocks up. Pop that down, make sure we're all the way over. And this time, I forgot my screw gun, out of all things. So, wrap it up to my level. Just let it stay, might not. It is always something. There we go, couple boxes of screw counterweight. See if we do the trick. Alright, so, let's get our level on there. Right there. This time I think there's screw started. Alright, so that one's in. We're still sitting good level-wise, so put this screw in. Now, keep going the other way. Move up a little bit. So, now we just gotta go through, put our screws on there, we'll level that side real quick, and I'll show you how to do that again, and then our basic framework is complete, and we just have the OSB put up.
Alright, so with the frame up, we can put our OSB on. Now OSB has a smooth side and a rough side. And what that's for is if you're putting on a roof, you want that rough side so you have grip, you don't have to slip and fly off. So it's up to you which side you want to have up. I am going to do the smooth side, so when I'm putting stuff on there, it'll easily glide on and off. So basically just put your piece in. I think I'm going to struggle a little bit because I already have the thing over there, but I should be able to nail it, I think. Yeah. Good. Alright, we should be able to do that with all of them. And I happen to have some 1 1/4 drywall screws. It's not the ideal screw that I would use, but really we're just holding it in place. These aren't structural or anything. I mean, really, you wouldn't have to screw it at all if you don't want to. That's why I'm also not too worried about the pattern, because, like I said, we're just really holding it into place. So you do want to make sure you're pushed all the way back. It might be out a little bit because the walls aren't square, and so it might not be 100%. You definitely don't need anything more than 1 1/4 inches. And like I said, there's no specific pattern here. I'm going to go, I don't know, every 16 inches to a foot and just kind of tack it down. So we're into the front here. And then we'll do the back and like 1 or 2 on the sides. Alright, so our first shelf is in, and we're good to go, ready to start loading it up. I'm going to go ahead and do those other 2. I like using screws when I do this. You could use a staple gun or something to go a lot faster. But if you move or something, you might want to take these with you. I did on those. I built those at another house, and then when I moved into this house, I took them out of my old garage, put them up here. So I'm going to go ahead and do these other ones. In case you're wondering how strong this is, I'm roughly 175 pounds, and I can hang on it, and I'm good. I can lay on this one. It's not going to go anywhere. But if you ever do notice it sagging or something, you could always add a centerpiece in there, depending on what you're putting on there. So I'm going to finish this up with the other 2 pieces of OSB, and then we'll do a quick review. All right, so we're all done. As you can see, I kind of staged some stuff like that. Our cooler and one of those totes up there. I have more of those totes that I want to put across here. Maybe put some camping gear, just kind of keep organizing, get this place a little bit more better shape, so it's just not chaos everywhere. So that, my friends, is how we build some easy garage shelves. All in cost was about $100 between the studs and the OSB and the screws. I was hoping to get another shelf out of it because I was kind of looking at that one. I was like, oh, I can get 4, but then I spread them a little bigger. So I do have some excess materials over here that I'll use for something else. Maybe build some shelves in the basement or something. But if you have any questions, comments, concerns on that, please let me know. Hit like, subscribe, and all that. We'll talk to you soon. And remember, if you do this and you're putting really heavy stuff on it, you can always put a center style on there the same way we did that end to add some extra support. So, happy organizing, and we will talk to you soon.